Welcome back, everybody, broadcasting from the 17th World Conference on Tobacco or Health. This, of course, is the first day of this conference that's scheduled to last until Friday, and it's quite incredible to be seeing the amount of delegates that have been arriving here all morning. We're talking in excess of 3,000 people are descending on the Cape Town International Convention Centre, and most of them, or I should say all of them actually, are advocates that are trying to ensure that anti-tobacco agendas are put out there and are heard very, very loudly and proudly. You know, there have been a couple of startling statistics that we've been talking about during the broadcast this morning, just showing how rampant the tobacco sales still are and how many cigarettes are being sold annually. And this is cigarettes we're talking about. We're not talking about, and many people asking on Twitter, are you talking about vaping? Are you talking about snuff? Are you talking about other tobacco products? The answer is no. We haven't even got there yet. I mean, the numbers that I threw out to you a little bit earlier are only showing us what the amount of cigarettes that are being sold on an annual basis, and it is a major amount of cigarettes that are being sold every single year. And the worst part is the amount of lives that are being lost to smoking. We talk about 7 million lives yearly from cancer and other lung diseases. That's according to the World Health Organization. At this point, it looks like China is the country that struggles the most when it comes to the loss of lives, with at least 1 million people dying from smoking. The cigarette number again, 5.5 trillion cigarettes are sold annually. Well, that was the figure from last year. 5.5 trillion figures to 1 billion people. I mean, these are major numbers we're talking about, and generating some $700 billion for the tobacco industry. And the worst part is the burden that it is on the health sector in any country, and that runs into trillions and trillions of dollars. Well, we're about to cross live now to a press briefing that's currently being held. I know our health minister is there. Let's put the live visuals on the screen now, and hopefully I'll be able to talk you through what we're seeing right now live taking place. Our health minister, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, is going to be a part of this press briefing. This is kicking off this particular broadcast, and then of course we also going to be hearing from the former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who is here and who has just announced a significant donation for the illicit trade in cigarettes, and I think it was in excess of $20 million that they're putting towards that. But let's go to that press briefing right now and see what it is that they are going to be talking about this morning.
Into fighting for taxes on sugary drinks, which we've just brought in South Africa. I just wondered whether you could comment on whether there's similarities between the tactics of big tobacco companies and the tactics of big processed food companies. Thank you.
So I'll start with Dr. Costa de Silva. Yes, you had a comment.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to make a comment that the UN has a global compact that is a list of companies that are socially responsible and who have has the aim just to bring these companies together to support the Sustainable Development Goals for the SDG 2030 agenda. And recently, the Global Compact has delisted the tobacco companies from the list of responsible companies, and has put the tobacco companies at the same level of the arms industry, nuclear, biological, chemical arms, and weapons. And I think that this has to be the bottom line, that the tobacco industry has to be considered as an arm industry, because the only objective of the tobacco industry is to kill. So I think that this is about the normalizing tobacco and putting tobacco into such a place that is considered something shamed to invest in tobacco products.
Thank you very much, Dr. Da Costa e Silva, Minister.
When it comes to sugar, it's a little bit different than tobacco. I think the statistic, what most doctors would say, any smoking is bad for you. Nobody knows whether 1 cigarette a day will kill you as fast as 2 packs a day. With sugar, small amounts of sugar probably are not that bad for you. Obesity will kill more people than smoking at the rate it's going. But I think the full sugar drinks companies have alternatives, and they seem to be switching the products that they manufacture and sell to those that have a lot less sugar in them. And that's good. And nobody wants to hurt the companies, and they employ a lot of people and provide products that people enjoy. But the issue with sugar is that a lot of the science lately seems to put large quantities of sugar connected to various kinds of cancer. And so it really is in everybody's interest to reduce their sugar consumption, which is to some extent a separate thing from reducing obesity, because you could have some sugar and just if you didn't eat anything else, you wouldn't be obese. So I'm not sure they're exactly the same, but make no mistake about it, obesity will kill more people than smoking if left unchecked at the rate it's growing. And in America, the estimates are, I think something like 40% of the people are close to obese. It's a number like that. It's really striking.
Thanks, Mr. Bloomberg. Minister, you can go ahead, Minister.
Yes, indeed, the amendments to the 2005 legislation are in the pipeline. I think they are somewhere within the government processing systems. We are definitely going to do them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll take one last. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Merlina Jiro from Malawi. Despite the measures and strategies that have been lined up to control tobacco, I'd like to find out, is there any hope that the use of tobacco can really come to an end? Thank you.
Who's your question to?
Any of you can take this question.
Okay, we'll just, can I maybe take you, Minister, because we're short of time.
Well, that's ultimately our dream, a tobacco-free generation or a tobacco-free world. We actually think it's possible. I still remember in 2011, when the high-level meeting was going to sit in September in New York to discuss the explosion of NCDs, the non-communicable diseases. The WHO called ministers of health to Moscow in Russia, where we were going to prepare for that meeting. I remember it was April 2011. There was a proposition there in that meeting. There were 90 ministers of health from all over the world that maybe we could encourage United Nations through heads of states to pass a resolution that by 2040 there should be no tobacco in any part of the world. Of course, that resolution was never passed because that decision was never taken, but it was proposed. So such decisions should never die. It was a very good step in the right direction, even if it was regarded to be extreme at that time. That we could say by 2040, no more. Our children must only see it in the museum and wonder what type of human beings were we, just to run ourselves to extinction, because when they go to the museum or encyclopedias and read about tobacco and find no benefit at all, they'll wonder how stupid were we to have allowed such a thing. That's for the future. So the dream must live on, that we indeed can have a tobacco-free world. I don't know whether it's because you are in your country, there are problems with tobacco and agriculture. And I remember in that conference, unfortunately, the person who was the minister, I can't remember who that was at that time, said tobacco in Malawi is green gold. And I remember we answering him and saying, you can't have green gold that kills so many people. Then, because when you are saying it's gold, meaning it was precious. And we said, if it's killing so many people, it can't end that title of being precious. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know whether you're asking because of that question, that in your country is supposed to be green gold, but it's green gold that is very deadly.
Thank you very much, Minister. I'll take a final comment from Dr. Costa de Silva. She's got the tiny little one.
It's very, very tiny.
All right, we're going to cut out of that press conference now, and we will return to it if there's anything else that we need to bring to you live here on the program. We're going to take a very quick break. When we return, we have some students that we want to speak to, because that big problem seems to be within the youth, and let's see what they are doing to try and urge their fellow youngsters not to smoke. Stay tuned.